Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange radio show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com. I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. And
exactly.
Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature. And I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do. And I think that that's a big problem that people face now. Like, you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause. I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like, I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, yes. And I was thinking, like,
the Artist Exchange radio show.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Now we're talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr.
and Lolita E. Walker,
where you get it from a man's
and a woman's perspective.
Hey, and welcome to Now We Are Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker. Hey, and happy Thursday.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. We are too pumped. First things first, congratulations to all of the 2019 graduates out there.
Yes, congratulations.
Congratulations. Specifically for Morgan State University grads. We are so proud of you, and we are Morgan State alumni, so we give you a special shout out today.
Yes.
We are so pumped today. It is week 3 and we are talking in our community. We're talking about building a financially literate community, right?
Yes.
We're super excited about it. So as always, we start with our wins for the week. I'll start with my win this week.
Okay.
I think last week you started with yours. My win for this week is that there was a confirmation that I'm going to be working with a school system to do some strategic visioning work. I'm really excited about it because the principal is so excited and her vision is so clear and just wants to help to bring that out of her staff and get their input so that the next school year can be amazing. So I'm so excited to be part of that journey. That
is wonderful. It's always good to open up new doors, even when you're not expecting it, or when they're open for you when you weren't expecting it. So that's great news.
Yep, thank you. Yes. That's my big win for this week.
So my big win for the week is last year I started doing a lot of research on meditation, and I started meditating daily. And it really started to change my life in a lot of different ways, and I fell away from it towards the end of 2018. And this week I recommitted myself to restarting my meditation practice. Nice. So this week I started again meditating daily every morning, and it's already paying off. So I'm really excited about that because it's so important, not just for your physical health, but your mental well-being. And just you miss it. You miss the stillness, you miss the presence of self, and when you do it and then you don't do it, you really see the difference. So I'm really excited about finally getting back into it, and my plan is to not let it slip away again.
I love it. So do you do it through an app or how do you meditate, or are you just still?
Just myself in complete silence.
I love it. And how long do you meditate?
15 to 30 minutes. It depends on what kind of morning I'm having.
Oh, okay.
Ideally, I'd love to be on a beach meditating, because that's where I really started doing it, or at least outdoors in some way where you can like have your feet in the sand or your feet in the grass. It's really good if you can be grounded with the earth when you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you can't, to at least have that time in silence and peace, is to just be alone with your thoughts, and to also try to empty your mind and just focus on your breathing is really, really valuable. And it's just a great way to start the day.
Absolutely. So I was looking on my phone because at one of my women's retreats, you know, I think I mentioned to you guys, I host women's retreats twice a year.
Yeah.
September's coming up, September 19th to 22nd. But there we talked about meditation, and there was an app that someone recommended, and it's called Insight Timer.
Okay.
And it is an app for meditation. And one of the retreat participants said, you have got to, actually Dr. Sophia is coming on the show soon, and she recommended it to the guests or the participants. And one of the participants just this week literally called me and said, this app is everything. So try it out.
I'm all over it.
Yeah, try it out. Insight Timer. And I know Dr. Sophia loves it, and I've even used it. So it's a good app. I like it. So I love to hear about the meditation. And for those of you guys who have been constant viewers of ours, it's pretty cool because it ties into self-help, which we talked about. Just nourishing you, your mind, your soul, so that you can be your holistic self. So we're always talking about growing on the show.
Yes.
I love it. So today's show, we got to talk all about it. It is about becoming financially literate. And so you want to talk about our guest? I'm super pumped about Allan being here.
Our guest today is Allan Boomer, who is the founder and managing partner of Momentum Advisors. He's also one of the hosts of the weekly Sirius XM radio show, The Momentum Advisors. Allan Boomer is a financial guru, does many things, an expert in many areas. His business is a financial management company, a wealth management company, and he can definitely get more into detail about it, but his background is really interesting. He majored in marketing, business marketing, I believe, as an undergrad, went on to get a master's in business administration from New York University in New York City, started his career early with Merrill Lynch, moved on after that to Goldman Sachs, where he managed private wealth. He did private wealth management for high net worth individuals, and since then has found his way into his own business. He made the leap from corporate America, founded his own company, and is doing extremely well. So he's going to talk to us today about a lot of his business ventures, about financial literacy, about entrepreneurship, about franchising, and all of the things that he's become an expert in. So I'm really excited to have someone with that much expertise to speak to us on the topic. So,
if you were to rate yourself from a 1 to 10 for financial literacy, where would you put yourself?
I would give myself a 6 or a 7.
Yeah.
Because there's, you know, if you were to ask me that like 10 years ago, it'd probably be like a 4.
Yeah.
And I've learned so much since then, but I also know the more I learn, the more I realize that there's so much that I don't know.
So much out there.
So
mine is interesting because, like you, I would put myself at probably a 6 or a 7, but years ago, a couple of years ago, I actually would have rated myself a little higher because I didn't know what I didn't know. I thought I knew.
Exactly.
And just the more you get educated, I cannot say enough about having a financial planner in your life, no matter if you feel like you have savings, if you don't feel like you have savings, just having that professional that's there to guide you and show you all of the ins, the outs, and how to just become financially savvy is so important. So I'm super excited Allan's here. I think if you guys have any questions, please send them to, we're on Facebook, well, Now We're Talking. We are on Facebook, Be Exposed Radio, YouTube.
Yes, YouTube at Be Exposed Radio. Facebook at Now We're Talking Radio Show and Be Exposed Radio, either location on Facebook. So yeah, you can catch us at a few different places.
BeExposedRadio.com.
Yes.
Yes, we're everywhere. So go ahead and let's get going. Also share with your friends, because it's not about keeping the information to ourselves, right? This is all about building our community. And when we build our community, it's about also helping others. It's about making sure that those in our circle can also understand how they can also thrive, because it's not just about an individual, it's about a collective. So inside of our communities, outside of our communities, we just need to become financially fit. So yes. I'm super excited about it. I got my note page right here.
I'm ready.
So grab your pen, your paper, get all excited. And I'm happy for him to talk about his show also.
Yeah. And I know you all probably have questions. You'll probably be thinking of questions as we get into different topics. So send us your questions live. You can type them, in the live chat. You can email them to us, but the best way to get them to us is just go ahead and type them right to the live chat so we can see it right away. And Allan will be here next segment, so we can, ask the expert.
Ask the expert. I love that. You can text us at 443-642-9403. And you can dial us as well. So we'll just make sure we have all that information ready. 410-702-5657. You can dial us, or you can write to us directly. We are here waiting on you guys. Come with the questions. We have plenty.
Yes, we do. Yes. I don't know if we'll have enough time, but we'll make it work.
No, we probably don't have enough time.
Yeah, we'll make it work. We always do.
And as always, we're going to leave you guys with a cool acronym at the end, just to really remember the key points that we talked to you guys about. I got a comment inside of my inbox this week that folks are really loving the acronyms that we leave them with.
Good.
So the ask was that we put all of them up. So we'll make sure we get on that. I think we only have about 3 of them up. So we'll make sure we get on this. Before our next show, we can commit that we'll have all the acronyms for all our shows up.
Perfect.
Let me write that down.
So while you're doing that, I started thinking in preparation for this show about my most outdated financial literacy misnomer. What is something that I used to think a long time ago that I've since learned when it comes to money is not really true. And I was definitely raised to be a saver and to budget my money from when I was really young. I always had spending and savings, and I was really excited about putting money in my savings account. Even if it was like $1, $5. Absolutely. My mother made a really big deal about taking me to the bank to deposit my money, and made a big deal out of allowing me to keep track of my savings. And so that was something that really excited me. But as I got older and as I became more financially literate, I was heartbroken when I learned that saving money in a savings account is not the best way to make your money work for you.
To grow your money.
Right. Yeah. It's not the best way to grow your money. And although it is better than spending all your money,
absolutely,
you're never going to become wealthy by simply sticking your money into a savings account and earning.
I'm a fan of a savings, but I do agree that too much. I think one of the things that my financial advisor to that point always says is there is a benefit to having liquid money that you can readily get to, but it's nothing wrong with having your money work for you. So why not put your money in a place that is going to work for you,
or do some combination of the two? Because like you said, you do want to have liquid money, and we'll get into later more what that means exactly. But you do want to be able to have cash that you can grab for emergencies. But in terms of building wealth for the future, there are so many other vehicles that will allow you to do that.
You know what, as we talk about myths, I definitely want to ask Allan about, what are some myths that he can easily dispel? Because as you were just saying, having liquid, being able to get your cash readily, I'll say that my financial advisor or planner really tells me your money is liquid. There's a lot of your money that is liquid that you can get from me that I am investing for you. So I think maybe that's one of the myths as well. As you were saying that, it made me think like, oh, he is always saying, no, you can get to it. You can get to this money right here.
Sometimes there's penalties for getting to it too. So
we'll definitely talk to Allan about it.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited about it. Okay. Well, now we're talking. We will be right back. So grab your pens, your papers, and look forward to Allan. Ask us some questions because we're ready for you.
We'll be right back with Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita and Allan Boomer of Momentum Advisors.
Yes.
This is a Poverty ENT exclusive. Next stop, Texaco. Strapped up, you already know. Fuck niggas hate, that's how it goes. Bros with me, yeah, it's time to go.
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that. Cool! That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run.
Mm-hmm.
The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was Weeders, of course, won with a home run.
Hit the home run.
Right.
They were going into that National Series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and weigh in on my who's not, and I'm going to talk about the San Diego Padres.
The Padres. That's okay. You just took my answer.
They're in last place in the NL West. They've lost 8 of their last 10. Their run differential is a negative 65, which is just horrible. So when you have well, let me just talk about run differential a little bit. It's kind of like the
how much you're winning or losing your games by, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. It's like the margin of victory, kind of.
Right.
So when you're in a negative number, that means that you're.
Then your average game you're losing
by a whole lot.
Right.
I mean, a number like negative 65, this early into the season is pretty rough.
That's horrible.
The pitching numbers pretty much support this stat right here. I mean, the team ERA is 4.70, which is 26th in the league. They have 126 walks allowed. They acquired Jared Weaver in the offseason, and he really has not panned out. He's off to one of the worst starts in any of the pitchers in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
He's 0-4 with a 6.05 ERA. In May alone, he already has 12 earned runs in May. And, another one of their pitchers, Clayton Richard, he's 2-4 with a 4.34 ERA. And, in May, he has 6 earned runs and 12 innings pitched. So they're not pitching well. And on top of that, they are also not batting well.
Right. But it kind of sucks because Manuel Margot is doing pretty good. His the past few at bats, his last.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
Far into this unknown to find who we really are. Crashed into something new and take a break from my broken heart. Talk with the hip, tell me you lie. I think we should go for another round. Baby, try not to say too much. Let your love come down. If you wanna rule, it's some rules you gotta live by. Live by. Stay true to your cool, make a move, don't wait on nobody else. And if it feels like a melody, sing a song, be my radio.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker.
Hello, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you all. We have a very exciting show planned for you today. Everything you want to know about money and financial literacy, as much as we can possibly let you know in less than 2 hours.
Yep.
Crash course.
We're on it.
So send your questions in. Send them into the live chat on Facebook Live. If you're watching on YouTube Live, send them in that way as well. Now We're Talking, as well as Be Exposed Radio on Facebook.
Yeah, bam. So we want to introduce our guest, Allan Boomer. Now, we've talked a little bit about Allan, but first things first. Happy graduation year.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, give me some.
That's right.
20 years. This is what 20 years looks like.
Yeah.
We're doing
Not
well.
too shabby. Not too
shabby, young fellers. I'm super excited about that. So shout out to all of the 2019 graduates of any school you're coming out of. We're super proud of you. And this show is for you. So mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, uncles, pass it on. I know they're celebrating this weekend, but these are some nuggets that you definitely want to live by. So Allan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell our listeners about you.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be on the show.
Absolutely.
I'm super honored. You
Our
guys
pleasure.
are both incredibly gracious to have me on your platform.
Sure.
And good people. You guys are friends.
Thank you so much.
I got to tell a story about Mervin Bourne.
Absolutely. PG.
Two stories. First is that Mervin and I met because we were all in the honors dorm at Morgan State. We were in Cummings Hall. And Merv stayed there for 2 years. And then in the third year, junior year, the guys from the honors dorm decided to move to Oregon.
Okay.
And I said, you know what, Merv? Because we knew each other. We didn't know each other. Like, we weren't like friends, but we were like cool. And I was like, you know what, man? You're from Jersey. I'm from Jersey.
Right.
We should be roommates. He said, cool.
Sounds good to me.
Merv being my roommate changed my life. Like, the whole course of my career changed by being this man's roommate, which is crazy. Because at the end of the first semester, I had, because you had a scholarship too.
Yeah,
Lolita, we
I
had
did.
to keep it 3.0.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they said to keep your scholarship, you need a 3.0 GPA. I had exactly a 3.0 GPA. And one semester, Merv shared with me his report card, and he had like a 3.8 or a 3.9. I pulled Merv to the side and said, bruh, you're tripping. What are you doing? That extra 0.8, that's a partying that you're missing out on right now. And he was like, why don't you just do your best? I was like, do your best? You just got to keep a 3.0 and we're good. And he said, do your best. I'm just out here doing my best. I said, I had never, ever, ever had someone say to me, do your best. They said, try to get the best grades you could get. Mm-hmm. They said, maintain your GPA. Mm-hmm. And so my grades for my first half of college, 3.0. My second half, I got 3.6s, 3.7s. I was able to bring my grade point average up to 3.2. Not that that's the greatest GPA, right, but it's an example of how this man changed my life. Yeah. Because not only did I apply being my best to school, I also applied it to business. I applied it to every aspect of life. The second way that this man changed my life is that we came up with a life planning exercise when we were like, you remember this?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So my dad is a big planner. My dad, he worked for UPS Corporate America for 32 years. And he always said, if you don't have a plan, you have a plan to fail. So he said, why don't y'all plan out your lives? So me, Merv, and my other boy, Joaquin, we came up with this spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet was a 7-year plan. And we broke the 7-year plan down by family, career, and maybe like personal life, like things we wanted to accomplish
in 7 years.
Salary, like things we wanted to accomplish over 7 years. And when we put each of us had our own sheet on this spreadsheet, and when we put down our final destination, like Merv wanted to be an attorney, like I wanted to be an entrepreneur, my other buddy wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to get an MBA. I wanted to make 6 figures. Everybody wanted to make 6 figures. And when we wrote the paper, when we typed up this list, we all looked at each other's sheets and laughed. Like, come on, bro. Really? You think you're going to do all that? Like, we put stuff like when we wanted to buy a house, when we wanted to have kids. And what's crazy is I had a 30th birthday party because the sheet ended at 30. We did this at 23. And I laughed because my last, like before starting a business, it was I wanted to be a vice president at a financial services firm. And my 30th birthday, I had just made vice president 3 months prior. Merv was there, my other buddy was there, and I'm like, yo, like we talked about this, and it came through. And I'll tell you the one regret I had, why didn't I write better stuff on the paper? Like, why didn't I put on there I wanted to, found the next Facebook or Uber?
You could do it now.
And so what it taught me is like just the value of like having a dream, if not a plan, and the idea that when you mix your effort, and when I say effort, I'm talking about doing your best, your best effort. You mix your effort with a little bit of faith in God, there's no telling what you can achieve.
That's right.
But we gotta have a big vision for ourselves. Like I hate when people have incremental, small
dreams
goals for themselves. So I'm
Dream
sorry.
big. No, do not apologize because now, even before you introduce yourself, I just got to tap on that for our audience because this show, like we started this platform really to gift back, but to give back for our community. And so we're very strategic on what each of the 4 weeks means. And this is about in your community and then how we build ourselves in a community. Every show is about growth, right?
That's right.
And I say that because we've talked on here visioning. We've talked on here the power of visioning. And not only having stuff just on a wall, on a spreadsheet with pictures or words, but actually having that accountability, that circle, that network, that accountability, that partnership in order to help you drive.
It's critical.
Right? It's so critical. So to hear you say that gives me like goosies, as Jennifer Lopez says on World of Dance, one of my favorite shows. But the point is, it makes me feel great inside that what we're doing and what we're sharing builds upon each other because it's real.
Absolutely.
It's real. How many college students at 23 do you see writing a 7-year plan?
Not many, if I had to guess.
So I say that, so I wanted to ask, like, what prompted you to write that? Do you remember from your story? Do you remember?
I think it was his idea.
No, we were basically, like, you know how like in college you have semesters? And you know what classes you're going to take that semester, what activities you're going to do. When you graduate, there's no plan anymore. There's no curriculum. It's like just an
you're out there in the world.
Work, right? And so we just broke it down by semester. We said fall, spring, summer. What we wanted to do, we have 5 lines in each of the categories, like for each semester, things we wanted to achieve. You know, Merv wanted to go back to law school. Like I wanted to go back and get my MBA part-time initially. I ended up switching, doing it full-time, finished in the same time that I thought. But really it was just the notion that we needed to, like, there's no more school to hold us accountable. How do we hold ourselves accountable?
I love that. And then how do we shift our mindset? So we haven't gotten into Allan yet, but I did want to just take the time to sit in that pause real quick. It really connects itself. It really connects itself from everything we've been talking about to now having a guest come on and say, hey, this is, let me start with this story, and then it resonates.
Absolutely.
One of our guests, Tara Cheney, who was on here a couple of weeks ago, she said to me the other day, after you guys show, in me articulating like what I really wanted, I've made some changes. And I'm so excited. That just made me feel so good because the power of what we're doing, just even talking about, is resonating with people. And that is just, that's what we're here for. Hashtag BAM.
Can I talk about Lolita before
we'll go on ahead.
You better talk about it.
Well, hold on now, though. Let's not go to commercial yet.
No, I just want to say Lolita is just a wonderful person.
Oh, thank you.
Lolita was in the engineering building.
I was.
So we didn't really get to know each other too much in college, but I appreciate the chance to get to know you better. later in life.
Did we meet through Mervin? I was thinking, how did we meet? I don't remember.
Probably partying.
It probably.
We know each other, but we didn't
know
each other like that.
Okay.
So you've just been a gem to get to know.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I had to give Merv love last week. We were talking about hugging on your boys, so I'll give you a hug.
That's right.
Okay. All right.
Boys need hugs too.
I'm
Boys need hugs too.
All right, good. Well, we have a great show for you. Do we have time for Allan to introduce himself? Or we could do that when we come back?
We'll do it when we come back.
All right. Let's do it when we come back. So
we'll be right back with Allan Boomer of Momentum Advisors from New York City, here to educate us, school us, answer all your questions, get us financially literate for 2019. We'll be right back with Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
So does this stay on while y'all are off?
We're still on.
Pause.
Oh, it paused.
We're still on right now. We're live.
Actually,
I love
but we might be. Yeah,
we're still
this
live.
is what we do. We're
Let's
still
keep
live.
going.
So let's keep going.
Okay.
So let's just introduce. Yes, let's introduce you.
Okay. So it's appropriate that there's police sirens.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
While we're talking about financial literacy.
Yeah. What's crazy is, our first semester at Morgan, like literally the first week of school, a kid gets killed at the bus stop right behind the library. I'm like, Lord, what did I sign myself up?
Really? I don't remember that.
You don't remember this?
Yeah, I do.
McCoy.
I do.
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
This intersection of, college students with a city that, this was a crazy awakening for me being at Morgan. And then the Million Man March.
Yes, I do remember that. We packed sandwiches, Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Yeah.
Well,
and it was just amazing. I remember arriving at the Million Man March. We had buses.
Yep.
And getting there, and there was a big wall we had to climb up to be able to get into the area. And guys were just helping each other up.
Yeah.
I remember
complete strangers.
We were passing dollars to the collection plate like this. And
yeah.
Nobody was worried about stealing. Either way, I could talk about Morgan all day. But my name is Allan Boomer. I am a financial advisor by trade. I'm also an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm an owner of several businesses. First is Momentum Advisors, which is a wealth management firm. We do investments, we manage investments, and we do financial planning for both individuals and for companies and institutions. We have about $193 million that we manage.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It started out with me in my mom's basement. We also have another $400 million of retirement plan assets that we manage. So added together, it's almost $600 million that we're responsible for. It's not just me; it's a team of about 10 people. We're in New York, we're in DC, we're in Jersey. Our biggest clients are endowment funds. Our smallest and most important clients are individuals. That's really our basis. It's your parents, it's your classmates, it's your peers. And what we're trying to do really is just help people. Like my background is, I went to Morgan, studied business, got an MBA in finance, went to work for Merrill Lynch and then ultimately Goldman Sachs, became a vice president at Goldman at the age of 29. And when I got to Goldman, my goal was to steal, not money, but information. Like I basically said to myself, what are the secrets of the super rich? What are the secrets of other cultures that my people don't know about? And how can I bring them back to my people? And that's ultimately what I did. To have an account at Goldman Sachs, you needed $10 million, which is a lot of money. Like, that's a lot.
Right.
And even at 10, they didn't really want the 10s. My last client at Goldman just sold a business, a sleep apnea business, to GE Healthcare, and sold the business and walked away with $300 million cash after taxes. Wired me $100 million and said, hey, pick stocks for me. Now this is crazy considering that I didn't come up with a silver spoon in my mouth. My mom didn't go to college. My dad worked at UPS, and sometimes he was delivering packages. He ended up in management, but I learned about investments. I learned about Wall Street. I only knew about Wall Street from Trading Places with Eddie Murphy. That was literally my only exposure. And like that moment when you're now being asked by one of my clients was a Forbes 400 billionaire. They're coming to me, little old me, little black boy, and said, hey, I need advice on how to invest my money. And it was an amazing experience. I've never worked with smarter people. I've never worked in a harder working culture. But I said to myself, you know, how can I now bring this full circle and help some people that actually need the help? Because the guy with $10 million, he don't really need a lot of help. The person that's got $100,000, $200,000, like that person needs help. Or the person that has good income, because a lot of people that make good money have very little wealth. There's some stats out there that show, like the Federal Reserve did a survey, and they found that 47% of Americans, if they had a $400 emergency, they could not meet that emergency without having to sell something, borrow money from someone else, cash in a pension. And so we got problems.
Absolutely.
As a people, we have problems. There's a stat that shows that in some year in the future, black folks collectively will have zero net worth.
Right.
Wow.
Now, I don't want that stat to come true.
Absolutely.
It's not going to come true in my household.
Right.
It's not going to come true in your households or the listeners.
Absolutely. And we're going to make sure that today we're going to definitely give you guys some tips on, Allan's going to share some tips on, you know, how do you start saving as a child? How, even if you're in debt right now, can you start saving? I think is something that our population would love to hear about.
Let's start there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So the first thing, we've got to reorient our minds around money.
Yeah.
Like, think about money. Like, think about, what was your first experience with money? Either one of you.
My savings account started as a kid.
How old
you know, probably 5.
Okay.
And, you know, I'd
was
get
that your first experience? I know that's your one memorable. Was that your first time touching money?
No, my first time touching money is probably asking other people to buy me things.
Okay.
Or receiving money for a birthday.
I was going to say that. It was probably receiving money for a birthday.
Okay, and what'd you do with that money?
At the time, you just want to buy toys.
Okay. Both of y'all,
Yep.
it was about buying something.
Yep,
It was about using
absolutely.
money as a medium of exchange to get something. And what I find is most people think money, they think spending.
Yeah.
Did you learn over time that money has other uses beyond spending?
Absolutely.
Money is also for saving. Money is for investing. Money is for charity. Money is used as an expression. Like, your money and how you carry your money, how you invest your money should say something about you. How your charity should say something about you.
It can be very symbolic.
Something about your value system, your beliefs. Like, for example, my dad always told me, like, no matter what you invest in, and I'm in dry cleaners, I'm in gyms, and I'm in financial services. My dad said, never invest in, you know, something that's going to hurt people. Don't invest in liquor stores. Don't invest in a strip club. Don't invest in things that are going to tear up people's families. And what I'm getting at is that over time, you learn that money's not just for spending. And that's what we got to teach our kids. How do you teach your kids about money? It's, you know, you've got a little guy, little Walker, cutest little guy ever.
Thank you.
You guys wear the same size shoes.
We do. He does wear my shoe size now.
Mervin got 2 little ones. Wonderful. Is my adorable goddaughter, Chloe. Big shout out, Clodo. I'm not sure if your mom let you watch. But, you know, how do you get your kids reoriented around money? What about this? Like, do you guys pay your kids allowances, or do they get a chance to earn money in any ways?
So Walker is 7. He just turned 7. So what I do with Walker is what my parents did with me, is that when he does get money, he can put it in his piggy bank. When he goes to use it, however, so I invest some of that. I take some of that and put it in an account. But when he goes to use it, we don't spend all of it. So you get $5. You get $5. You can use 2 of it for something that you want.
Good.
The rest is here.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
The concept of we've got to change this concept of money is for spending, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what about if you had a couple different jars? Let's say you had clear jars. The reason I like clear is because you can see what's inside of it. You can see it sort of stack up, right? What if you had a jar that was for saving?
Yep.
Which is really just deferred spending,
Yeah.
right? You're saving it so you could buy something later. Once you get up to a certain amount, you could spend it. What if you had another one for charity, right?
Like
Every
that.
time you get some money, let's put a little bit in the charity jar. I'm walking past a guy out there begging for change. I'll have something to give them. And in the future, once they understand this concept of saving and charity, maybe you get another clear jar. That's for investing. I'll tell you, one of my earliest investments was in blow pops. Remember when the blue blow pop came out?
Oh, that was a big deal.
7th or 8th grade? And you know, I figured out that you could buy, like, they didn't sell it at the corner stores near my school. I figured out you could buy it at Costco. My mom would go to Costco, I would, give her some of my allowance money. She bought me a box, I sold it for 50 cents a piece. Or 25 cents a piece until I got jacked and that got shut down by a bully. Took my lollipops. But again, the concept, like if you can teach your kid not just to defer, but to invest, like to get a return, like that's powerful. Yeah. Like when you can learn the idea that I can think of something, mix it with my effort, and produce money.
Bam.
Right? Like that's a powerful lesson that if you can learn it as a child, imagine what you're going to be as an adult. Because I'll tell you, we are being miseducated.
Big time.
In business schools, in regular schools, in engineering schools, we are being taught to be employees.
Yeah, we are.
We aren't taught to be investors,
entrepreneurs,
we are
owners.
not taught to be savers. We are taught to be owners. Right? I learned this in business school that capitalism has tools. There's tools of capitalism. One tool is land, real estate. Another tool is machinery, equipment. Guess what the last tool is?
Labor.
Labor. We are being taught to be labor so that we can make money for somebody else. But what if we can teach ourselves to make money for ourselves? Right? It makes your world way bigger.
Yeah, and I'm trying to instill that into my children because, like you said, that's not a lesson that was taught to me. I was always taught to get an education, and the education will be your pathway to a great job, to great employment. But the mindset of becoming an owner, becoming a boss, as opposed to perpetually a worker. Because sometimes it's great to be a worker because, like you said, when you went to Goldman, you had a mindset to get as much information as possible. And then you had a plan to do things with that information. So there's nothing wrong with that as a foundation. If you have the mindset that you're building a foundation of knowledge so you can have a knowledge base to launch your own dreams, your own goals and aspirations. And so I think in terms of re-educating or turning around this miseducation that you're talking about, it's huge. So one of the things that I've been learning more about in recent years is investing in the stock market, but more so, not really for me, but more so for my children, and trying to figure out ways to get them excited about investing and conveying the message to them that you can own a piece of a company. And companies that you see on commercials, companies that are on the labels of your clothing, you can actually own a piece of that company. And so I was able to get my oldest kid to buy into the idea of, instead of me paying him allowance, he wants that money put off to the side so that he can buy stock.
That's great.
I love it. It's the clear jar for investing. I love it.
Another thing though that we gotta connect kids with is like, if we just do for our kids, they're not learning where money comes from. Like, kids will think money comes from the little card that you use to spend. Kids will think money comes from the bank. Oh, we don't have enough money? Mom, go to the bank. What are you doing? They need to learn that your actions that's an input where the output can be money. So my dad taught me this by giving me an incentive to get good grades. If I got an A, my dad gave me $5. If I got anything other than an A, my dad took away $5. I owed him money. And
I love that. I never heard that before.
That was a big deal because, like, look, I want to buy this Nintendo game, right? And I know it costs $25. That's 5 A's. You know what I mean? I knew I needed to hit that, and so our kids need to get that part-time job early. They need to go out and mow some lawns, go out and shovel some snow. Because they need to learn that, like, there's nothing free out here.
At all.
They need to learn that you got to be able to produce. And that job readiness, like, by the way, there's nothing wrong with working a job. I'm not saying that that's a problem. I'm saying that we've got to get to the point where we can be more self-sufficient, where we've got additional streams of income. Like Mervin's written a book. Lolita, you've left corporate America. You've got several different things working. You got your conferences. You got your coaching. You're going to have some apparel coming out. I know you got it working.
Yeah, we're on it. Yeah, we're on it.
Hairline.
Claim it. Put it all out there. Put it all out there. I love it.
What I'm getting at is like,
multiple
we've been endowed with so many gifts. Yeah. We have so many gifts. Why do you think they brought us here?
Yeah. Right. So I think, like, just to that point, I believe the generation that we are, a lot of us, majority of us, our parents weren't they weren't entrepreneurs. Majority of them didn't go to college. My father was from Jamaica and didn't even go to high school. So they're trying to give you better than they had. But my mom, graduated from a 2-year institution with the 2 years associates. But what I say with that is that's wonderful, and they wanted the best for me. What they were able to do, though, very early on was teach me about saving. So when I went out and I had my job, I would go buy clothes with my money. I would come home. They would pay me some money towards it if they liked it. So there's some stuff they would say, oh, here's the fashion show. Okay, school time, got it. Put it on. I don't like that. You're getting nothing for that. Now I got on some, at that time, $14.99 jeans and was doing it. And they're like, oh, we'll give you $1 towards that. We really like that. $1. But my point is the incentive, right? My point is for Walker, who's 7, it is about, listen, you want to go to McDonald's, really? It's not good for you, but you got $2 on it? Out of your bank? You really want to spend it on this? Right. All right, give me the $2 and we're on it.
How many times has he said never mind? Because my kids do that too. When they're like,
oh,
I want such and such.
He's getting to it.
And I say, okay, great. How much money you got? Wait, we're going to use my money?
Right, wait. It's not that card.
Like, no, we're going to do that. But that's important.
Yes.
You got to make that connection.
Yes.
Like, they need to know how to spend, but they need to know this concept of scarcity.
Yes. Yeah.
If I spend it on this, I won't have it for that.
Right.
Couple small lessons that, you're taking your kid out. Show them the prices of stuff.
Yes.
Show them, okay, you got $20 to spend.
Yep.
Right.
Don't come in here with $21 worth of stuff or $30 worth of stuff. You got $20.
What's
you
that?
need to know what, so they can understand the value of money.
Absolutely.
Right? Another thing is have them count the change. I'll give my kids $1. They want, you want ice cream? Okay, here goes $5. I need to know exactly how much change you're going to get before you get this $5.
I love
right.
Tell me exactly how much.
Yeah.
Because people will cheat you out here.
Right.
And again, my proudest moment with my son, my oldest, is the moment that, like kids go into an amusement park, you come out and you're in a gift shop. And one day my wife, who feels like it's equitable to just give the kids what they want. Everybody gets something. So she bought for the youngest, bought for the middle, and my oldest is like, this stuff is too high. Wait, I can get this at Target. Like, they need to understand the value, because here's...
How great did that make you feel when you heard that?
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Good, right?
That he could teach my wife.
Right.
Scratch that. No, but,
that was a joke. That was 100% a joke. I'm not even laughing, actually.
This concept of deferred gratification, and I can talk about this stuff all day. There was a study, a social science study that was done like in the 60s. It's been repeated a few times, and they walked into a classroom and they gave every kid a piece of candy, and they said, if I'm going to leave this room for the next 5 minutes, and if you can wait, don't eat the candy right now. When I come back, I'll give you guys a second piece of candy. Have you guys heard this?
Yes,
no, I haven't actually.
So he leaves, he comes back, and they're videotaping the kids, and they see, like, there's some kids like, I can't take it, and they just probably 1/3 of the kids ate the candy immediately. Another third, like, waited for like 3 minutes. They're looking at it, they just and then they eventually eat the candy. But there was like a third, a minority percentage of that group that did not touch the candy.
Right.
When the researcher came back, he rewarded them with the extra piece of candy. They then followed these people throughout their lives to see how their lives turned out. Would you believe that the 1/3 that did not eat the candy, that was willing to defer their gratification for a bigger reward, turned out way more successful in life? They were professionals, they were judges, lawyers, doctors, business owners. Not to say that this is the only determining factor of success in life, but it is. If you want to be financially secure, you've got to be able to defer your gratification.
Yes.
I love that. Defer your gratification. I love it.
So what I'm hearing is a lot of practical application is important when it comes to money. And so it's not just an adult thing. It's not just a grown-up thing. Like, we have to make conversations about money and understandings about money a universal family business.
Absolutely.
This has to be a family conversation.
Absolutely.
And I grew up in an era where a lot of things were considered grown-up conversation, and you don't get involved in it. But I really think that society has evolved in such a way where the level of commercialism is sky high, the intensity of the marketing is sky high, at a level that it wasn't at when we were children. And I think as parents, we have to adjust our concept of money and really get away from this concept of money being a grown folks conversation.
I think the society is shifting. I mean, we talk about when we were in school, we didn't even have concepts of entrepreneurship. Like, what is that? Why would I go start my own business when there's a company that's willing to pay me X amount of dollars to come work for them? It was a big deal. I remember when I was in engineering, people coming back and saying, this person offered me this, how much did you get offered? Like, it was just a big conversation. And it wasn't really, oh, I'm going to start my own business. But now you see schools actually having schools for entrepreneurship.
Right.
And I haven't been to one of them, but I'm imagining that it's teaching you now, realizing that, hey, we have a world, a society of people who are starting their own businesses successfully. Right?
Yeah, by the way, it's not just leaving corporate America full sail or leaving the workforce and starting a business. There's also side hustles. There's also, like, we're in the gig economy right now.
Yes, we are.
So people are driving Uber. They're renting out their extra bedroom out on Airbnb. They're going on, different, like Upwork is a website where people can go on from home and take on a freelance project. Because the issue is, like, going back to like our families, our households, and how we get our households together. Think of it like this. One of the goals of the family is to build wealth. Right? There's goals of creating legacy and traditions in the family, but one of them is to gain wealth, right? And it's a team effort. And the war that we're fighting is that there's companies, they're out there, they're being predatory. They're trying to take from us. Because everything that we spend that we don't need, like some things we need to spend on for sustenance, you gotta get food, you gotta pay the light bill, you gotta pay the water bill. But when we start spending for gratification, like it could be nice, but it can also take away from that war. Because you lose that war by 1,000 cuts, right? Like, think of all the people before you get your paycheck that already got a direct line into your bank account, that direct draft, that debit, that auto pay.
Right. I want to get more into that, the concept of predatory lending, and also just understanding where your money's going from your paycheck. What's the difference between the gross amount and what you actually bring home? When we come back with Now We're Talking, we'll be back in 1 minute. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Love it.
5 seconds.
It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to today's graduation ceremony. Students, when you hear the reason or reasons for your absences throughout the years, please exit the auditorium without your high school diploma. Once you've exited, remove your cap and gown and proceed into the unknown. Too tired. Family trip. Part-time job. Helping around the house. Sick day. Starting the holidays early. Just because.
Starting in the 6th grade, students who miss 18 days or more of school in a year for any reason will fall behind and risk not graduating high school. How many days of school has your child missed this year? Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
There's a rumor going around that Tyler Perry and Oprah are beefing. Well, let me tell you about this. Tyler, told Oprah, bitch, if you don't have my money, we're going to have a problem. Ooh. Oprah said, what is the problem? Ooh. You said if I don't have your money, there was going to be a problem. So Oprah is standing her ground like, bitch, I'm in charge. You know, you may have a $250 million studio over there that you film all your shows and movies and stuff on, but I have the empire. That's what Oprah said.
Oh, these are her exact words.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
What was the question? Somebody texted it. Any other question?
Welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker. We're joined today by a very, very special guest all the way from New York City, the founder and managing partner of Momentum Advisors, Mr. Allan J. Boomer.
Yes. Yay! I didn't know your middle initial was J.
Yes.
J-E-A, right? J-E-A. That's not right.
Yep, J-E-A.
J, with J right here, J-A. Y'all
Okay.
get it, middle initial thing. Okay.
Perfect.
It's okay. Listen, we are here talking financial literacy. We're just super excited about that. Allan has been sharing some awesome nuggets with us. We're going to leave them with you at the end, but if you're now joining, you can join us on Facebook. Now We're Talking. Join us on BeExposedRadio.com. On YouTube, Be Exposed Radio. So share the wealth because we're getting into it right now. Allan shared some awesome information. I think the biggest thing I took away was the glass jars. I'm actually going to do that. So he shared with us there's one idea to have a glass jar for savings in your house, a glass jar for charity, and then one for investing. And I thought that was a pretty cool, novel idea, sir.
Thank you, Lolita.
You're welcome. We're also celebrating, for those just joining, 20 years of the graduating class of 1999 from Morgan State University right here. So we're excited about that. I mean, the power of really taking friendships to another level and pushing yourselves for further accountability and achievement through the years is just phenomenal. And for that, I think all of us are just super grateful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Very grateful.
I'm getting mushy, so we're going to move on back to the finances. We did have a comment, so let's see what they said. This is my comment. We need to initiate financial literacy and financial management programs, starting with Head Start programs. We need to initiate those as mandatory curriculum in public school system, particularly in our African American communities. We have to be creative with money concerning our youth. Absolutely. They, the kids, need to understand what are the differences between assets and liabilities. And I think with that right there, one, what do you think? And as we talk about assets and liabilities, maybe we start right there.
Absolutely. No, I agree with the commenter.
Thanks, Mel.
I agree with Mel. The issue is what if we don't? Meaning, like, I don't have the authority to make K through 12 put this in the curriculum. We need to vote people in that will share our view and do something about it. I know in my town in Jersey, we have some semblance of financial curriculum. One of my business partners, Kyle Pitts, who I know you know, Howard grad, he has a financial literacy program. He goes to the school and he teaches. It's called Corporation Me. But what if nobody does anything about it? Because I believe there's so many of us that are waiting for a movement, waiting for the light to go off. We've got to take some accountability in our own houses to teach these lessons to our children ourselves, right? And it'd be great if it was taught in school. We didn't learn this in school, right? And we can't wait on this school system, which is already miseducating our kids, to now teach them about money. Because I'll tell you, the way the system is set up, it's designed to produce workers so that those workers can spend that money. Yeah. Our economy is 70% fueled by consumer spending, right? Well, how do we make them spend? Well, we give them some good jobs. We load them up with a bunch of student loan debt, and we hope that they don't save, actually, because if they don't save, they'll keep working longer, keep spending longer. And so, again, I think it would be wonderful to have that curriculum. But I also think, again, for parents, grandparents, godparents, aunties, uncles, it's important to teach these lessons to the kids.
Yeah.
I agree.
And when we come back, when we come back, maybe we can start with assets, liabilities, just a general overlook at that, just a general overview. And then let's get into, people are still working outside of entrepreneurship. what are they looking at in their paycheck?
Sure.
What does that look like? So maybe we'll start with those two when we come back. And if you guys have any questions, please push them in. But it's it's Thursday. Welcome to Now We're Talking Live.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Skirt, 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 skirt. Start, skirt, 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 start, start. I be up in the way. 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 Running on my face. Gucci guilty on my face. I be up in the way. 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 Bedroom phone ring, girl in t-shirt answers me. I get off on the way that she answers me. First time saw her, I knew she was the one for me. Ever since then, we've been vibing on some chemistry. It's just a matter of time. I know she feeling my vibe. I got the keys to the ride. She put her hands on my thigh. She got that look in her eye. SL what I'm riding. Royalty, call me highness. All day and overnighted. Cause it's crunch time when I'm grinding. This Adderall got me nauseous. Proceed with caution. Tired of lanes, I'm exhausted. Poppin' Zanny Zan, sipping out the faucet. I'm confused, don't know what I'm doing. Wait, what I'm doing? Got me going where the f I'm going. Out of space where I'm f going.
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out there and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita.
Hey, welcome back.
We're joined again by our special guest, Momentum Advisors founder and chief managing partner.
All that.
All of the above.
Of New York City, Washington, D.C., and New Jersey. Momentum Advisors, also of his own Sirius XM radio show that broadcasts every Sunday. I believe it is.
11 a.m., channel 126, Urban View. Also 6 p.m., they replay it.
And you are talking what on your show?
On our show, we talk about wealth building and entrepreneurship. We just get, every week, we just bring out a different topic. Like this weekend, we're talking about the financial plan for the aspiring entrepreneur.
I love
like the person who is thinking about making that leap from corporate America. How do you get your finances in order, your house in order, your expectations in order to take that leap? Like, because a lot of times the safety net that comes from corporate America gets pulled. But how do you make sure you can still have a retirement account?
It's not a lot of times. It's absolutely
disability
pulled.
insurance,
absolutely,
retirement plan.
Yes.
So that's the stuff we're talking about this weekend. But every weekend we try to come up with a new, innovative approach.
I love it. Okay. Well, before we went to break, we had Mel that wrote in, which was a cool question because what Mel was saying is, hey, we need to take some accountability with our schools and demand financial literacy programs within our school. And I think what you were saying was, hey, we also need to, because we're not affecting that change today, we really want to focus on the stuff that we can control, right? What can we do? And we talked about it in a break just a little bit, but we wanted to talk about, Mel, back to you and all of our viewers as well, is that we do have some power. I know I sit on the PTA for my son's school at his elementary middle school. And as parents, we can absolutely grab a collective and make that known to the principal about what type of programming we're expecting, what is missing in the school. So we definitely wanted to say, what can we take on as we talk to our legislative leaders about what they should be doing in the school?
Yeah, I mean, it's grassroots, it's organizing.
Yeah.
I listen to Sean King's podcast every morning, The Breakdown, and he just talks about organizing. Like, we got to think about, the PTA, parent-teacher conferences, the Board of Education seats that get elected for your town. Who's running for them? What are those board members? What are their views? Do they match your views? Maybe you should run. These are things that it's all connected.
Yes.
Like the judges that are locking black folks up, it's all connected, and they're elected officials.
Yeah, good. No, I like it. And what were you thinking too in that same realm?
I was thinking that as parents of a child in a school, you have authority because you have an investment in that school. You have authority to give input about the curriculum in the school. So whether it's a Head Start program or the actual curriculum of your child's, public school, especially if it's a public school, let your voice be heard. Speak to other parents. Use the PTA.
Yes.
Because there's a lot more power in collective voices. And even if it's not infused in the core curriculum, there can be an after-school literacy program.
Absolutely.
There are a lot
that a parent can teach. Honestly, that a parent can teach.
I was just going to say that there are a lot of financial professionals that would be more than happy to come into schools and speak to children about financial literacy. So if you're a parent with an idea, empower yourself to turn that idea into a reality and into real actionable change, because it can and will happen if you make it happen.
Absolutely. And also, Mel just wrote back, and we are all in. I put the love mark on there. Is when kids learn how to manage their money at an early age, they make better business decisions as they grow up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in case you weren't here in the beginning, that's exactly hitting on the points that Allan made, that all of us are making, is that we happen to be in families as we were growing up that taught us different pieces about saving, about money, about its purpose and its value, let's just say. But there's so many folks that's out here that don't know. So these financial programs that you're talking about can absolutely be of help. And so thanks for being here. Love it.
Thank you.
So you were going to talk to us about folks that are getting a paycheck from corporate America, from agencies, from wherever you're getting this paycheck from. What are they looking at? Because sometimes it could get a little confusing.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the worst lesson that you learn your first job. What was your first job? What were your first jobs?
Mine was Burger King.
Oh, first job is
My
Mandy.
first paycheck job was Burger King. I had a paper route before that.
Oh, did
Burger
you?
King, yeah.
I had, my parents were big believers that you will not work in college. And so, which is a blessing that I didn't have to work in college. I had scholarships, which is another blessing.
Look at you.
Come on through, Walker George Bishop. I'm claiming it for you in advance.
Yes.
But my first job was at Mandy. I was a cashier and a sales clerk at Mandy.
Mandy used to be the joint.
Mandy was the shiznit.
Is Mandy still around?
Mandy's not. I don't think
Are you
Mandy's
dating
around.
yourself right now?
I mean, I'm a little older. I'm celebrating 20 years at D. Morgan State University. This
She's
year.
like, yeah, I was out there at Woolworths.
Zayres. Morton.
Yeah.
No, I was at Mandy. Mandy was the up and coming spot. Come on.
Yeah.
Now. It was in the mall, Charles.
So yeah, my first job was at Roy Rogers.
Was it?
Yeah.
Roy Rogers is still out there. I saw one.
Yeah. No, they're coming back. I made $5.05 an hour, which
Did
I
you?
thought was like balling. I was like, wow.
I made $5 something too.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it was so much to the point. If I went to the bathroom, I was like, I got to clock out. Like, I shouldn't be paid to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a big deal. It was so hard to get this job, but you learn about the paycheck at your first job.
Absolutely.
You know, like, who is this person called FICA?
Yes.
Right? And FICA, like, the way our system works, you're contributing to the retirees, you know, it's a pay as you go. So your Social Security contribution is paying somebody's pension, not pension, but their Social Security payment. So FICA comes out, your state and federal taxes come out. After all those taxes, we also hope your 401k contribution comes out.
It should.
The 401k is one of those things we got to talk about, or 403b, or 457.
Yes.
There used to be, for our parents, there used to be a pension. My dad had a pension.
Yep.
He worked at UPS 32 years. Does your mom has a pension?
Yeah,
Your
pension.
Parents have pensions? The 401k used to be, like, let's say you made $50,000 a year, your pension might come in for $30,000 a year. Social Security will come in for, let's say, $45,000. The 401k used to be that rainy day fund to fill in the gap between your pension, your Social Security, and what your old paycheck used to be. It used to be the icing on the cake, right? Well, they took away the pension. I got a letter. You all got the same letter from Social Security saying that we probably will be out of money by the time you retire. So Social Security is in question. So what used to be the icing on the cake is now the whole cake. It's the whole thing. Like jokers think that there's going to be some check for them one day for working, and you don't want to find out too late that there is no check.
That's why 401k
there is no
is
pension.
critical.
So meaning if you're not putting money away for yourself, it is not being put away for you. So 401k, and we always say like max out on the 401k. People think maxing out is putting up enough to hit your employer match. Like, yeah, you want to hit the match, but to max out this year is like $18,500. You want to be putting away close to $20,000 a year on your own.
Yeah.
And then if your employer matches, that's just gravy on top of that. Because the beauty of starting early with investing and starting in your 401k is the notion of compounding. Like compounding is something that I'm not sure if people fully appreciate.
That's all you want to
tell us about compound interest and compound savings, and what's the difference between having compound interest and having the benefit of that and not having it.
Absolutely. I have to give a small numerical, mathematical example because it helps to illustrate the point, right? So imagine you had a 10% rate of return. You started out with $100, right? You invest $100, you get 10%. That means in year one, you got $110, right? Now you've got $110 invested. You make a 10% return. How much do you get? $11. So wait a minute, I made a 10% return on my original 100, but then my $10 made a 10% return. So now I'm starting with $121. Now I get another 10% return. Guess how much I made then? $12. So now my interest is getting interest, and then that interest is getting interest. And so what you find is that you can become a millionaire off compounding. You could save like $100 grand. But if you allow it to invest over enough time, that $100 grand could be worth $1 million. People don't understand that concept. They think that if I want to be a millionaire, I got to save $1 million. So number one, understand compounding. Number two, understand how investing works. I mean, investing is really nothing more than mixing your money with an opportunity and giving it some time. That's it. It's time. Time is your friend. Time is on your side. If you're 50 years old, start now. If you're 40 years old, start now. If you're 25 years old, start now. And the more time horizon you give yourself, the more of an opportunity you're going to have for that money to compound. Now, the beauty of that 401k plan is that there's no taxes as it compounds. Like you got a tax break for putting the money in. The money grows without any taxes. The catch is when you start taking the money out. Now they want to hit you with ordinary income, right? But hopefully you got some savings and you can afford to deal with it.
So can we pause, because it's a lot for people that they might just be hearing it for the first time and trying to grasp the concept. I know one of the things that my parents were able to do for me and teach me was push your money into directly coming out of your check, because you're going to live on what you get, what you physically get. So my 401k was taken out of my check automatically. And back then, the advice that I had, which you demystified today, was you want to put in as much money as they match. But here what's been demystified is actually max out what you can in your 401k. So when I was coming up, it was put in the money that they're going to match you dollar for dollar and then invest the rest. This is how this is Emmanuel Walker and Evelyn Walker's code of conduct. And so the point is that it gets pulled out first. You're saving first. That way you don't even miss it. And so that's what I want to encourage everybody to do is, if you're taking something from this, one of the nuggets you take is take a look at that paycheck and push your money over so that you are investing right away without you even seeing that. And by the time you talk to a momentum advisor, they'll be like, guess how much you have up inside of you.
And not only do you not miss it, Lolita, but you don't get taxed on it, which is another good benefit of maxing out your 401k. Now, what if you don't have a 401k?
Then set up an individual retirement account, an IRA account. You can go to any bank, you can go to any brokerage firm, you can go online. And everybody can put away $6,000, and that's tax exempt money. Like if you made $50,000, you can put away $6,000. Your taxes, if you made $44,000, meaning it deducts away from your income. And then you got to invest. Like, if you don't know how to invest, pick one of these target date funds. A target date fund is one where it has a year attached to it, and it's, the year that I plan to retire. You pick that year. If it's 2030, that means by 2030, it gets more and more conservative as you get older, so that when 2030 comes around, it'll be a nice portfolio for a person who's retiring that year. But there's really no excuse. Like,
Exactly,
and if you switch jobs, do not cash in that money.
Oh, absolutely. Roll it over.
Can I cry a real tear for
Paul,
me?
cry to him.
Do not cash in your 401k under any circumstances. The reason why is, number one, you get a tax penalty. Number two, you get ordinary taxes you got to pay. You might be losing 50% off the top by taking the money out early. Now, you might say, well, I needed the money to, put it down on some credit or something like that, pay down credit cards. The issue is your 401k is the one thing that you own, no matter where you live in this country, that is completely protected from creditors. What do I mean by that is that if you have $1 million in your 401k, but you've got a personal bankruptcy, nobody can come to you and say you got to touch your retirement dollars to pay that debt. They can't force you to do it. Now, people give it away. They take a distribution and and give it to the creditors. There's no law stopping you from doing that. But that asset is protected.
I love
What
that.
else do you have that's protected where nobody can take it from you, asset-wise? Right?
Yeah.
It's powerful.
401k.
We have another question in from the live stream. We have about 3 minutes
We have one here
before the next break.
Oh, is this the one you were talking about? I have one here too.
You have one there? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, you do yours first.
Okay, great. So Carte Blanche asked us, getting parents involved is the key. However, many parents are afraid of the unknown. Absolutely. They work multiple jobs, etc. So she didn't really ask a question, but on top of that, I'll just ask the questions that, saving can start with them as well. So when you're working multiple jobs, etc., and you can't, I think this was about the involvement of the PTA. We want parents to be involved, but some of them can't be involved. And I think the answer to that is just rounding out on what we talked about was, hey, right before the break, I think what we were saying is that get involved. If you can't, then start these tactics at home. Start your jars. All right.
And when we come back, we're going to finish answering that question, and we have more questions coming through on the live chat. We'll be right back with Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Get your questions in.
Yes.
Get your questions ready. Thank
you. Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a minute and listen to this flashback of the It Is What It Is radio show.
Viral. Make sure y'all share us. So,
Please.
Miss Entice.
All right, I
Miss
got
Vicious.
Okay.
Vicious.
Favorite place to have sex outside the bedroom?
Anywhere.
Oh, that's not an answer.
That's not an answer?
Specific. Outside of the bedroom.
You mean where have I?
No. Like where is the spot you like to have sex outside of the
I'm gonna
bedroom?
keep it real. I'm not a forest fucker, so I'd rather be in behind closed doors, but I've had sex.
I mean,
outside.
you still can keep it, under the roof. I'm just saying outside of the bedroom. Yeah, outside of the bed, like not in the bed.
Living room.
Oh, okay.
Living room.
What about the living room?
Couch.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, and welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne and Lolita E. Walker, and we are too excited to have Allan Boomer. Thank you for being here. Yay! You hear the crowd? Ah!
MSU Maine.
Yes. MSU made, MSU proud. We are celebrating 20 years. Yes, fellas.
Yes.
Years.
20.
Don't leave me hanging.
Y'all are getting old.
Y'all are getting old.
About you.
I came a little later to the party, but I'm so excited. To all our 2019 graduates, we are so excited and so proud of you. Congratulations. We know and hope that you are taking away some great nuggets today. Allan has shared with us about our 3 glass saving jars. So we're going to have savings, charity, and investing. Sorry, they're not all savings, but they're clear and they're going to have money in it, because you're going to put some aside for savings, some aside for charity, and then some aside for investing, hopefully with Momentum Advisors. Then we talked about paychecks. He got us clear on what we're looking at and who we're giving our money to. 401ks and individual retirement accounts, those IRAs, as well as how to financially educate our children. We've taken some guest comments, and you guys have been so engaging, so we just want to say thank you very much. Keep them coming. What are we getting into?
We have some questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Mel on the live chat wants to know about Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, good one.
Will cryptocurrency be the new currency? And is Bitcoin a worthy investment?
Great, it's a great question. So Bitcoin, you guys remember like a year ago, I think it was around December of last year, everybody was talking about Bitcoin. And people, I remember I went to an event, and this woman had just quit her job, and she was just doing Bitcoin, like basically buying, selling Bitcoin all day, and acted like it was a sure shot, and was basically making this statement like, I don't see how people could work a regular job when we could just flip on Bitcoin. Bitcoin went straight up for a long time, and then it came crashing down. And what's funny is we hear about these things when they're on their way up. We hear about them like the moment you're in a taxi and they're telling you, hey, I just got into any investment, like that's the moment where we want to be a little careful. You didn't hear about it now that it's dropped. Like as investors, we got to think about things that have declined in value. Like Uber just went public. I'm not saying buy Uber, but I'm saying like it went public and it dropped. So people are like, oh, see, that's a bad investment. But if you like the company and it dropped, think of it like, you know, if your favorite investment.
It's like buying something on sale as opposed to buying retail.
Absolutely.
Why pay retail?
So we have to think as investors. Often we want to get the thing that's already hot. You got to buy it when it's low. So cryptocurrency, I don't think it will replace traditional, they call it fiat currency. I do think it will be more and more important in the future. Another question he asked was, how much does it take to get involved in Bitcoin? You could put $5 in Bitcoin. Like,
do you want to tell folks what is Bitcoin?
Yeah, so
folks who don't know.
Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. The features of a cryptocurrency, first is that it's got encryption. Second is that it uses a distributed ledger that they call it the backbone of Bitcoin is called the blockchain. The concept of the blockchain is, if you can think of a mainframe computer that might be used to hold data, like think about the Experian database that got hacked. A central database is what has typically existed in the past. One computer, one mainframe that holds all the data. Bitcoin uses blockchain, which is a distributed ledger, which means if there was one transaction, it's parsed into a lot of little pieces of data and saved on a network of computers across the country. And individuals can take their own personal computer and add it to the network and have a piece of that ledger saved on their computer. And so because it's distributed this way, there's no need for a mainframe. It's encrypted, it's immutable, meaning it can't be changed. It means that, you know, it's one of those things that can't be tracked so easy. I think it's important. I think the blockchain is important. You're going to start seeing smart contracts become important. You'll be able to buy a piece of real estate without using a lawyer to close. Sorry for all the lawyers out there. You'll be able to have a smart contract that closes for you with no need for an escrow agent. You'll be able to buy, the other aspect of Bitcoin is that it's in fractions. So that's why I was saying, even though Bitcoin is, you know, I forget what the price is right now, but you could say, I want $5 worth. You'll be able to one day say, I want $5 worth of this building that I'm in. or I want $5 worth of that pizzeria on the corner, or $5 worth of my apartment building. This concept of the blockchain, this concept of the smart contract, I think it's here to stay. And so I will buy a little bit of Bitcoin. I just wouldn't go too crazy with it. Anytime there's something that's exciting like this, like it's gonna be very volatile, get your feet wet. There's an app called, Coinbase. You could own Bitcoin by the end of this radio show by downloading this app, Coinbase, and you link it to your account. And I wouldn't go crazy. I would just buy a little. About around that time in December when everybody was going crazy, I bought a bunch and gave it away. I gave it away because I wanted people to understand what it is, this wave that's coming. I wanted people to own it. I wanted people to see, wait, I got initially $20, now it's worth 10. You know, because that's what we got to get our mind around as investors, is that there's going to be some volatility, but if you believe in the thing, you give it some time, you never know what will become of it.
So that reminds me, like, say something about patience when it comes to saving and investing, and why that's important.
I'll give you a perfect example. So we all know there was this financial crisis. Greatest financial crisis we've had in this country since the Great Depression. You literally have to go back to 1926 to find a stock market that did worse than what happened from October of 2007 to March 9th of 2009. During that time, the stock market dropped by 50%, meaning if you had $100,000 saved, it was worth about $47,000 if you had it in the stock market. Well, guess what happened since then?
It's performing better than ever, right?
From March 9th of 09 to today, the stock market is up 300%, meaning your 100,000 dropped to 50 and now it's worth 150. If you just kind of stuck with it. If you were smart enough to add to it, you might your 100,000 could be worth 300,000. So what I'm getting at is it's just time. The thing that hurt me the most is that during this financial crisis, people panicked. They started selling stuff. Like, the concept is simple, but it's important and it gets overlooked. It's buy low and sell high. It's the moment when there's blood in the streets and everyone's worried, they think the world's going to end. That's the time to buy. Like, that's what Warren Buffett does.
It's really no different than how we spend money every day. When you buy groceries, you tend to want to get the best deal you can get. When you buy clothes, when you buy shoes, you tend to want to get the best deal you can get. You're shopping for sales. You're comparing vendors. You're comparing retailers. So what I'm hearing is that investing in stocks and mutual funds and what have you, the concept is very similar. Why pay higher than you have to hire?
The other concept, going back to shopping, you know, sometimes you go to the store and you see something that you want, you're like, man, I gotta get it. But every now and then you pass it up. And then you go to the store a month later. Don't you always find it's something else?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you might find that same thing and they discounted the price. Right? The concept is patience is everything. Absolutely. If you can be patient, if you can defer your gratification, like we talked about earlier with the candy, you will be rewarded. So the people that stayed in the market, they've made a nice return. The people that got out, they got hurt.
I think one of the things we want to talk about when we come back is this question that we got about talking to the blue collar workers. So let's say that you could start out with $500 savings. If you have $500 and you want to do something with it, what would you recommend they do? So think about that, and we'll do that as soon as we come back. Now we're talking.
Great.
Stay with us. Be right back.
First they love you, then desert you. Leave with a plate full with no spoon. Ain't no space, I can't escape negativity. I got used to the taste of been bad, burned, then fucked over. But remain strong through the Passover. Kicking haters out of the way like masked over. Roll up, sip something, let it pass over. Who would I be? It ain't the man to me to let the next man take advantage of me. When that storm come, no pan I see. Get with it, not without it, then you'll see. I beat the haters, they know I'm greater. That's why they buzzing for the elevator. But I can't save you, it'll be too loud on the pedal stool. Don't carry favors, always got your hand out demanding favors. When I just looked out, now you need more paper. I can't breathe, give me 3 feet. I never let y'all be the death of me. When my patients run that, yeah, nigga OT, cause they wanna see me bound like I'm NCT. 6 bricks, get the fuck away from me, say I help you out if you can help yourself. I keep it G till I DIE. Now excuse me while I get back to PC.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com.
I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out.
Exactly.
Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature. And I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking with Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker.
Hey, happy Thursday.
We are having an amazing discussion here.
Really
Time
good.
is flying by. We're answering questions that are coming in from the live stream. We're here with our special guest, Allan J. Boomer of Momentum Advisors, the founder and CIO and managing partner of New York City, Washington, D.C., New Jersey based
worldwide.
Worldwide.
Absolutely,
Those are
worldwide.
just where the offices physically are located.
Yes.
But
before we get into it, I just want to shout out that for those of you just joining and for those of you who've already been here, then you're going to hear it probably for the 4th time. We are celebrating 20 years from graduating from the Morgan State University. You can grab your pictures now. Oh, congratulations.
20 years.
Yes,
Congratulations.
20 years. This is great.
We made it.
We made it.
Marketing, engineering, political science.
Yes, this is it.
Uniting like Voltron.
Yeah, so we're so excited and we're just shouting out all the 2019 graduates. Congratulations. We're super proud of you. It does not stop here. The world is just opening up to you. And so we've had some college students in on the show with us. And we hopefully are talking to you guys outside of this weekend, but even just giving you some foundational steps to start your savings. And again, you said it's never too late. No. It doesn't matter if you're 23 or you're 45. Start today. So with that, let's answer one of the questions that was on the chat.
So I believe the question was, if you have a pot of $500 right now, you don't have any other money other than that. Let's say maybe you're low income. Let's just say you don't have a heavy cash flow. You got $500. You want to do something of value with it.
Great. So I'm going to answer this question 2 ways. It's going to be a long answer. So the first thing you got to think about is your financial foundation. Like, you can't really invest on a weak foundation, because we talked earlier about patience. Like, if you don't have the ability to be patient, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to try to break one of your investments. And what if you need to break it in, it's 2007, it's 2008. The stock market's down. Whatever you invested in is down. And so how do we ring fence and protect our investment to make sure that I never have to go in and touch it? First is you've got to have an emergency fund. That emergency fund should be anywhere between 3 months and a year. And that should be straight up cash in a savings account. Maybe get a CD, a certificate of deposit from a bank. But the reason why you need that, think of that as like the moat around the castle in Game of Thrones, right? Think about that as the thing that will insulate you from having to touch that investment. So let's assume you've done that. The next thing you really want to think about is credit cards. Like, do I have any high interest credit cards? Because that, going back to this notion of building wealth, we talked about compounding interest. It works both ways. So if you're compounding your savings and investments, you could also be compounding your debt, meaning your debts could be growing and the debt on that debt is growing, and it can create an abyss. It can create, you know, I always say it like this: if you're paying a 15 to 20% APR on a credit card, paying it off gets you a 15 to 20% rate of return. That type of return doesn't happen every year in the stock market. Not with a guarantee, because that's a guaranteed rate of return.
And just to be clear, it sounds like what you're saying is you're gaining that money that you're saving by paying the card off early. So it's almost
That's
like
exactly
you're
right.
It's like you're paying yourself.
It's like you're avoiding that loss. Like you would be taking a 15 to 20% ass whooping.
I'm smiling because the feedback was, so what, poor people can't invest? And I think it's not that poor people can't invest. I think just if we really look at it, so let's answer the question of, I have literally in front of me $500. That's what I have. Oh, because he's coming, prioritizing, absolutely. But a portion of that absolutely should be invested, Allan, right?
Absolutely. Because
how do we do it?
The thing I'm getting at though is you don't want to make an investment and then the moment your car breaks down, now I need to get my money out. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Exactly.
And that credit card investment might not feel like an investment, but it is one. And that rate of return is substantial.
Absolutely.
And I want you to think about that as one thing that you can invest in.
Yeah.
But let's think about the greatest investments that we've made. Education.
Yeah.
Training.
Yeah.
Like, how much did you pay to go to college? Not much.
Not much.
But think about what it did for your income.
Absolutely.
You went from making $5 an hour to making however much you make a year. Like, education is the type of thing, it's an investment in yourself that gives you a great return. So it might not be going back to college. It might be taking a course. We did a show.
Getting a certification.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like these IT certifications.
Absolutely.
We did a show called, you know, how do you make a 6-figure return on a $1,000 investment? We talked about stuff like becoming an eyelash, those individual. Do you have those?
No, I don't. I have naturally long eyelashes.
You do. They're so beautiful.
Thank
She's
you.
so fly.
Ladies
and gentlemen, Lolita. But those eyelash
I know, it's the most money.
technicians, they make, if you do the math, like they charge, they have monthly plans.
I know,
Like,
yeah.
These women, these people, and it typically don't look like us. Our beauty and healthcare business is often run by folks that don't look like us.
Absolutely.
But those
getting
people,
warm again.
and you can get trained up to be an eyelash tech in like 30 days. Like, it's not like
I didn't know that.
going away for like, 3 years. Right. And in 30 days, and the course costs like $800. So sorry, you said $500.
Right.
Like, now you're in a career that's going to pay you dividends, right?
So you're investing in training yourself so that then you can come out higher than the $500.
Because think about it. Because if I took $500 and I found a great 10% return, now I got $550.
Yep.
Right.
Like
that
barbering, for instance,
is nice. But what I'm getting at is, like, how do we make outsized returns? Like, how do we make returns that are really going to move the needle in my life? I think it's an investment in yourself. You'll find no greater return than investing in yourself. You'll find no greater return than entrepreneurship. I'll tell you about my company. So I started my company very abruptly with very little savings. And I make more money now than I made in corporate America. And it was really this notion that there's no ceiling on entrepreneurship. Like, there's no ceiling. Right? There really is no ceiling.
And if you work for someone, there's always a ceiling.
It is.
Absolutely, because if you're working, you are basically selling your time.
Yes.
Right? And by getting more educated, you figured out a way to sell that time for a higher price. Right?
Right.
But there's a limit on how much time you have, because that hourglass has been flipped over for all of us, and nobody knows how many little grains of sand are in that hourglass. But we're giving them away. We're giving them away. We're giving them away.
Every employer is trying to squeeze more and more labor out of that
That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely.
It's not even what you started with when you break down your salary into the hours you work, because reality is you work more hours than that. And if you really look at the pennies and the dollars when you're in corporate America, so we're talking about the entrepreneurship versus that, the ceiling, when you really break it down, you're working for pennies.
Yeah.
You really are.
So now let me talk to you about like actually
You really are.
what like building wealth is going to take a lot of different things. It's going to take investing in ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right? Getting a certification, taking a class. YouTube, you can learn stuff on
You
YouTube
sure
for
can.
free.
For free, absolutely.
My partner, Tiffany Hawkins, we're on the radio together, and her first business, she learned how to build websites. She learned it sitting on somebody else's couch on YouTube, and went off to make a 6-figure business off of a $0 investment. So what I'm getting at is that entrepreneurship is going to give you the greatest rate of return.
Please don't walk away from here thinking that entrepreneurship is easy. It is absolutely not. I will attest to that. But what I will say is that the return on it, what you put in it, you can absolutely see coming back out. Hands down and around. So I love you for that.
Yeah, and as an investor, you get to the point where you should be competing with your job.
Yes.
Like, you know what you made from your salary.
Yeah.
What about if you start thinking about how much did my money make for me? Like, I made this, what did my money make? What was that interest? What was that rate of return? Like, how much did I add to my assets through my 401k? Through my savings? That's when you really start to give yourself some options. Like, once you get to the point where your money's making money and that money's making more money than you, now you got some career options.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm sitting here right now and I'm very blessed because I got this entrepreneurial bug early.
Yes.
My first business after selling lollipops was cutting hair on the campus of Morgan State. And initially it was me cutting hair for $5 a cut. I think I probably cut you a couple times.
Way more than a couple times.
I then got together, once we moved into the new building, Rawlings Hall, I convinced the dorm director to let me put together a barber shop with multiple barbers. And I got like 4 or 5 barbers. And this was the first time that I got paid, not just on what I did, but I got a little bit off the top of every single one. I also took a little bit off the top and we donated it to charity, which was great. Again, going back to what money is good for. It's not just saving, I mean, spending, it's also saving, investing, and charity. But that was my first time. Like, I might not have a head to cut, but because I set up this enterprise, I'm getting a little bit off the top. I'm getting some multiple streams of income.
Absolutely.
So today, you know, I'm sitting here. I've got a Zips dry cleaner in Waldorf where there's customers.
I've been to that one. Yeah.
But please say something about franchising since we're touching.
Yeah. So franchising, it takes a little bit of.
What is franchising, first of all?
Franchising is the concept of paying a fee to borrow somebody else's business plan, to borrow somebody else's brand, and to give you the opportunity to mix your own labor and capital to create a business that you didn't have to come up with from scratch. So I'm in Zips Dry Cleaning. We have 2 stores. We opened 3. I sold my interest in one to one of my partners. We have a store in Waldorf. We've got one in Bowie. I'm in Retro Fitness. I've got one in Catonsville where I'm a partner, not too far from here. One in 2 more in Maryland where I'm a partner. I've got a fitness business in New Jersey, Max Challenge. The concept of this is that you need multiple things bringing you cash. Absolutely. And by the way, I did not put a lot of cash into these businesses. Because I learned entrepreneurship, I went to folks who had money but didn't know how to start a business and said, look, let me help you start your business. And instead of giving me a check, why don't you give me a little bit of that equity? And they said, cool. And so now I've got multiple streams off of very little investment. So I guess what I'm getting at is that your greatest return, the one that's going to really have an impact on you, not the answer you want to hear, but the greatest return is going to be an investment in yourself.
I love it. That's what I do want to hear. So for me personally, Lolita Walker, absolutely. We do have somebody that's here, Karim, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, said, I love the jewels that are being dropped here. Kudos, guys. One of our biggest detriments is that we die with the knowledge and for the next generation of our people. They have to start building from scratch. Share the guidebook. Don't take it with you to the afterlife. And I totally agree with that. our show, for those of you guys that are just joining, is really all about educating you so that you can continuously grow. When Mervin and I talked about putting this show together, it was, we want to take what we have and the resources that we have to just bring knowledge that we might not have had, right? It's all about that. So each of the 4 weeks inside of a month, we have specific topics that we talk. And this week is all about in your community. And Allan was the perfect person to come on because it's about building up financial literacy in our communities, because we don't want to die with it. Our parents didn't know. We got a little bit of knowledge. So we want to share, to your point, the guidebook on kind of how to do that. So thanks for your comment.
So
Thanks for joining in.
So the building can continue.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And these folks have written wonderful books.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you guys have invested in
Yeah.
that legacy in our community. This platform is one of
Yes.
investment.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for mentioning that. One of the things I mentioned in my book, A Single Mother's Guide to Raising a Son, is I talk about how important it is to teach your children the value of money, and to teach your children that it doesn't just grow on trees, right? And so children that don't understand money, that don't have a sense of financial literacy, will then become adults who do not understand money and have no sense of financial literacy.
Absolutely.
And so when you're in your 30s and your 40s or your 20s and you're dating and you're trying to choose a mate and you're wondering why doesn't he know how to write a check? Or why is his bank account empty? Why doesn't he understand, or why doesn't she understand the way money works? Well, the short answer to that is no one taught them.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not magic, it's not osmosis, it's something that children need to be taught, and we need to get away from this idea that financial literacy is grown folks' conversation.
Yeah.
And that understanding money and learning about money it's grown-up business.
Yeah.
It's really not. It has to be
Absolutely.
family business. It has to be children's business.
I mean, it's so many things that you touched on right there. I mean, from the sense of having family meetings, because I do believe a family is a business and you got to run it as such sometimes, you know? And so with that being said, family meetings to me are so important. I had them growing up. And my son and I, we talk all the time, but really having a dedicated time to talk about what's happening inside of the house. Let's talk about it. What are the bills that's coming up? How do they look? Listen, the cable that you have, all of these stations right here, this is what it means. What's your contribution? My man is 7. What's your contribution?
Cut that cable too.
Yeah, you know, you got to make choices. Cut the cable, make choices so that then your $500 that you have there might become $650 because you've made a choice on what a want and a need are, so that then you now are investing in yourself so that then you can go further. Some of the knowledge that we dropped so far, for those of you just joining, welcome to Now We're Talking. We have Allan Boomer, who is the founder and managing partner of Momentum Advisors. He is a serial entrepreneur. He goes from dry cleaning to gyms to financial services. I mean, he's just doing it all. We also are celebrating, so thank you for your congratulations in advance. 20 years from the Morgan State University. And we've talked everything from making sure you have these 3 glass jars. I'm in love with this concept. A savings jar, a charity jar, and an investing jar. I'm absolutely going to send you a picture of my 3 jars.
Just don't use this one.
No, this is actually, thank you for bringing that up. You must be saying that you love it. So this is my Embrace, Act, Thrive. See how we go off topic, but I love it. So I own Walker & Walker Enterprises, and it's under the umbrella of embracing your circumstances no matter what they are, acting in your strengths, and then thriving in your greatness. We could talk about that later, but this is what it's about. So I'm drinking out of it. It's a diffuser. You can get it on my website at lolitawalker.com.
What is the website?
lolitawalker.com. LOLITA walker.com. Thank you.
That's great.
All right, so we're going to go to break, but when we come back, we'll finish up talking.
We'll be right back with Now We're Talking with Mervin and Lolita and our amazing guest, Allan J. Boomer, Momentum Advisors. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Bye. That was good.
You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. So deeply wounded, but don't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. So you just sit there and you suffer in silence. Your pride won't let you just uncover your secret. Don't wanna look weak in your image, it ain't worth losing. So you just act as if it's nothing happening. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. Suicidal, depressed, but you won't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. You feel alone even though the people surround you. Popping pills every night even though you know.
My name is Ruth Rusey. I'm a retired teacher. I'm 91 years old and this is how I live united. I say retired but not really. Once a week, I read books to children as part of United Way's education program. Reading to a child creates links between language and literacy. It creates a bond between grown-up and child. And believe it or not, it prepares them for a better academic future. Oh, we read about frogs and flies and pigs with wings, all sorts of juicy stuff. It's a joy to watch all those little faces. I figure I have the time and they have the need. And I've always believed that if we're not here to help each other, then what are we here for really? My name is Ruth Rusey. I help kids prepare to succeed in school. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
My name is Meera Batra. I have been in this country 32 years and this is how I live united. America has always been the land of promise, and in my community many families have come for a better life. Coming from another culture myself, I know the desire to become part of a community, to feel at home and to gain the tools for our children and families to succeed. So I advocate for these families with United Way. United Way empowers them to look beyond their histories and to see what opportunities are available. We help them get involved with their kids' schools.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to Now We're Talking. Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Lolita E. Walker. We've had just an amazing show. We have financial guru here from Momentum Advisors, Allan J. Boomer, and he's been just giving us
great job.
We're having fun.
We had a lot of fun.
We're having fun.
We had a lot of fun.
It's like we're on the bridge again.
It is.
Like we just really got a crash course in everything you need to know about money and investing and saving and entrepreneurship and franchising. It's just been amazing.
It has. You can't even believe 2 hours rolled around that quickly. So as always, we're going to leave you with a phenomenal acronym of what we talked about today. We are absolutely going to get it on the site. We have heard you. Before we do, really quickly, we want to say shout out to Rishay. She says, speak y'all. We definitely need to invest in our kids so they can build their wealth. Absolutely. I think in our community, we leave that out. Go Morganites. So thank you, Rishay. Appreciate it. And Rishay actually has her own practice too, dentistry.
That's great.
Rishay, put on here your business so we can see that.
It's actually called Berry's Children's Dental.
There you go, Berry's Children's Dental.
And it's in Bowie, Maryland.
Bowie, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah,
right.
Bowie. I think she has 2 locations.
She did, not sure if she still does, but actually that's another great example of how education is an investment.
Yes.
So someone goes to college with plans to become a dentist, not realizing that 10 years later they're going to be an entrepreneur running a large business,
Completely
and employing many, many people.
And coincidentally, right down the street from my Zips dry cleaner in Bowie, Maryland.
There you go.
Rochelle, you should come by and get some dry cleaning and drop off your business cards, and we'll help promote you for sure.
Nice. Well, I'm going to drop mine off at the Waldorf location.
Please do.
You got to talk about it. Another thing,
Please
guys, we talked about this before. You have got to articulate your hopes, your dreams, your desires, and your aspirations. If you don't talk about it, if you don't leverage the power in your voice, you'll never know. If he didn't just mention that about Riche, I never would have even put it together about going to your establishment and putting my own business cards. Talk about what you want, what you need, what you hope for, so people can help you.
Don't be afraid to speak your dreams. Don't be afraid to write your dreams down.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to share them. If you are living with people, if you're in a relationship with someone, you should be in a relationship with someone that you trust enough with your dreams, your hopes, and your aspirations. Put the ideas out there, put them on paper, get the feedback, and that's the way it starts. Everything that's big in the world, everything that anyone has ever accomplished that's great in the world, started with a thought. And that thought became a dream, and that dream became a vision, and that vision was put out into the atmosphere and became a reality.
Absolutely.
Facts.
Facts. Hashtag facts. All right, let's hit him over the head with this acronym.
So the acronym for this week is MONEY, M-O-N-E-Y. So M, make your money work for you. Have a plan. Be disciplined. Defer gratification. We talked a lot about the importance of being able to defer gratification. Just because you want it doesn't mean you can buy it. It'll be there next week. It'll be there next year. Chances are you might not even want it a week from now. Defer gratification. Teach your kids to do the same thing. Only invest what you are willing to leave long term. And so if you're working with a little bit of money or a lot of money, you have to prioritize what you're going to do with that money, right? And before you can just put a lump sum into an investment account, you might have to do other things with it, like have an emergency fund or start an emergency fund, or like Allan said, pay down some high interest credit cards. So don't be discouraged by the fact that you can't jump right into investing right away, because actually getting rid of that debt, like we learned today, is actually just a different form of investing in yourself. Never spend more than you make. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Educate yourself and your child about money. Because, what was that you were saying about excuses?
Excuses are tools of incompetent, and we are not incompetent because we've been educated today. So let's not make excuses. We're bigger, we're better than that.
Right. And finally, why? You are never, ever, ever, ever too young or too old to start saving.
Absolutely.
And investing.
And investing.
Absolutely.
And charity.
And Lolita, you made a great point. Start as a family.
Start as a family. You know, family is business. And so before we are out of time, we only have a couple of minutes. We're actually a little over. So we are going to speed through how folks can get in touch with you, or share some things you got going on, your other businesses that they can
Sure.
visit.
Yeah. So best place, if you enjoyed this conversation, you want to hear more on this topic, the first thing I would tell you, if you've got Sirius XM radio, every Sunday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m., Momentum Advisors is on channel 126, which is the Urban View channel. If you have the app, you can also listen to our content on demand at any time.
Name of your show?
Our show is called Momentum Advisors. You can put in my name, Allan Boomer, into the search, or you can put in Momentum Advisors and the show will come up. We talk about wealth building, financial planning, and really just, again, the accumulation of wealth and entrepreneurship. Twitter, at Momentum Advice. That's where we have about 5,500 followers. Nice. And every week, we're just basically tweeting out different tips as we're going through them. As I mentioned this week, we're talking about the financial plan for the aspiring entrepreneur. And in terms of businesses, definitely check out these businesses. Zips Dry Cleaners in Bowie, Maryland. Zips Dry Cleaners in Waldorf, Maryland. Retro Fitness in Catonsville, Maryland. Retro Fitness in Rockville, Maryland. Retro Fitness in Lanham, Maryland. Retro Fitness in Horsham, Pennsylvania. And the Max Challenge in West Orange, New Jersey. And last but not least, my baby is Momentum Advisors. And our website is momentum-advisors.com. And we are financial planners and investment managers.
Serial entrepreneur, and I'm loving it. Mr. Morgan State University. I'm so proud of you. Excellent. Go ahead. You want to let them know?
You can find me at mervinbourne.com. That's my website where I blog daily on lots of different issues. You can find my book, A Single Mother's Guide to Raising a Son, on Amazon.com, available in ebook for Kindle as well as paperback. And you can reach me at mervinbourne@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at Mervin A. Bourne Jr. and Facebook at the same, Mervin A. Bourne Jr.
Love it. And I am Lolita E. Walker. I am at lolitawalker.com. I'm a certified life and executive coach. So I am here to not only help you realize your vision, but to actually help it come into reality. So businesses, corporations, individuals. I'm the author of The Intersection of You and Change. So make sure you get your book. You can find everything at lolitawalker.com. We talked about investing in yourself, and absolutely that is what we do on this show each and every week. That is what each of us do in our businesses, and that's what I do with Walker & Walker Enterprises. So we're so happy to have had you, and awesome show. Please join us next week, Thursday, 7 p.m.
7 to 9 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern. We'll be here. We hope you will be too.
All right. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run.
Mm-hmm.
The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was Weeders, of course, won with a home run.
Hit the home run.
Right.
They were going into that National Series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first not for the night.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wait.